First of all, this is mainly a video for people that aren't super into One Piece. Maybe they're just starting up the series, or you're wondering if you should get into it, but you're not too sure yet. But I'm gonna try and stay as spoiler free as I can. But if I do have any spoilers that which are like pretty important to not know, then I'll make sure to make it clear before, so that you can skip past it if you want. But obviously you can still watch this if you just want to hear my opinion on it or something like that. But I would 100% say that you should get into it, whether you just want to see if it's good or not, or if you actually just want to get into the whole series and try and catch up, which is a journey in itself, but I feel like you'll enjoy it nonetheless. I might be saying that just because it's my favourite manga, so there might be a bit of bias in there. But the first thing that you need to know is that the 3-episode rule doesn't actually work with this series. Well, first, the length should, be kind of like a giveaway that it wouldn't really work, because it doesn't have like a very concise opening to it. It actually starts off quite slow. In my opinion anyway, it starts off quite slow. Because if you only watch 3 episodes, then you won't really get the scope of it. Like, you won't really understand how big this adventure is unless you watch like 30 episodes or something like that. But the main concept of it is, Luffy, which is the main character if you don't know, he wants to become the Pirate King. Now, that in itself is a very big dream to have. Even just like the title itself, Pirate King, should like give you an idea of how big a dream it is. But you get how important that is in like the first episode, I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's the first episode that you get told about, the dream that everyone wants to be a Pirate King. At least, the pirates that set sail, they want to be a Pirate King. Following on from the 3-episode thing that I said, you only really get a big picture of what the series is only like 31 episodes in, because that's when the Arlong Park arc starts. It's kind of a tongue twister, but And if you only read the manga, then that'll be 69 chapters in. So I know it's a big number to get to just to get the feel of the series, but that's essentially where you'll know if you want to watch it or not. It's also the arc which you really get a feel of Luffy's character, where, you have like, I feel like every series tends to have like, an easy villain at the start. Well, majority of series, like battle series, tend to have an easy villain at the start so that you can gauge how strong the main character is. So that obviously they're not fighting like a tough opponent right off the bat, so that it kind of makes them look a bit stronger. And once they actually come against a strong villain, then you can see how strong the villain actually is. But as I was saying, that's when you really get to, know his character and his ideals that he follows. And this happens over the course of the 30 episodes. It doesn't just happen in this one arc, Over the course of the 30 episodes or 60 chapters, you do get to know Luffy's character a lot. And once the arc ends, then that's basically all you need to know about his character. For the most part, at least. There are a few things that will come up later in the series, but that's basically his main principles that he follows. But essentially, the Arlong Park arc, and before that, it's mainly just groundwork for what the series is actually, all about. After that point, the story really just kicks into gear, and you just go on like to crazy islands and finding new things about devil fruits, which is the fruit that gives you powers. You find out a lot about that after this arc, and you get introduced to a lot of new and crazy people. In a good sense, obviously, not like crazy as in like character-wise. I mean like design-wise, and what they'll do to like reach their goal or something. But that's one of the things that I really respect Oda for, because he has such a creative mind with his story, even from the beginning, and it gets even like more creative as it goes on. But even in the beginning, his characters, they all have like a unique design to them. Mainly the male characters, because the female characters can kinda be the same body type, aside from like the facial features. Then you'll see why, some people say like all One Piece girls look the same, which they really don't. It's just the body type, but yeah. Even they have like interesting characteristics about them that makes them stand out. I feel like the main, driving force of this is because he has the best-selling manga, so he obviously has a lot of creative liberty that he can explore and flesh out, as opposed to like a manga that isn't selling as well. or being forced to rush through their ending. You know, they can't take those creative liberties that they want to express. But Oda can, which really, you know, benefits him, but it can also be somewhat of a bad thing because the pacing can be somewhat slow at times, especially during the fights, because they can drag on for a little bit too long. Like if you're not used to fights lasting over maybe like 20 chapters, then it'll be kind of boring for you. But I feel like once you're really deep into One Piece, then you'll find it normal to have a fight last like 20 episodes or 20 chapters. But it really stands out more in the anime when the pacing gets worse, because they, up until the recent arc that we're on right now, then you can really tell when they're really just padding out for time, trying to stretch it out as much as they can. But that shouldn't take away from how, you know, good the fights actually are, because they're probably one of the best fights that you'll see. Two of them are probably one of the best fights that I'll remember them the most. And you know, you get introduced to that fight like not too far into it. In like One Piece terms, it's like not too far into it, but you know, it's over 100 episodes until you get there. That's all you need to know. But because, like, you know, over 100 episodes, like the first 100, it may seem like you're going through a lot of arcs, but that really does slow down, because one of the arcs can last for 100 chapters. If you put that into context of how much time that took, it equates to 2 years worth of content, all set in one arc. So it can kind of drag on for a little too long, but that's just the longest arc, you know. I feel like the arc that we're in right now will be a bit longer, so you need to get used to like long arcs and, you know, get used to the character that you get introduced to in that arc, because you're gonna be with them for a long time until you finish the arc. And even then it might end up showing back up, because Oda tends to, you know, bring interesting characters back into his story as opposed to like killing them off. And that doesn't mean no one dies on One Piece. You know, this is a warning, don't touch up anyone's name, because my friend did that and she ended up spoiling herself. So don't touch up anyone's name until you're caught up, otherwise you just end up spoiling yourself. Another thing that I wanted to mainly talk about was the anime of One Piece, because it does get a lot of criticism. Most of it is well deserved, but on the animation side of things, it isn't, you know, the greatest, but for being a weekly series, it's pretty good. And you know, people have suggested, why don't they have it be seasonal? But even if it was seasonal, I feel like that isn't the best option. I feel like it being weekly is actually the best option that they can take, because of how long One Piece is and how long it takes to get through one arc. If it was seasonal, yeah, the animation would be better, but it would still be coming out like very often, and it would take a lot more time for it to actually be finished if you want very consistent animation and very like high quality animation. But even then, they've tried to make the quality of their anime better. I'd say from the last arc, you can really tell that they're trying to improve it. It's even showing a lot more now because of how they changed the style of One Piece, how they have a new character designer and series director. You know, that's really showing that they're trying to make it better, and it really does show. But before they made those director changes, you can really tell when the anime is padding out for time. Dressrosa, which is the longest arc, it takes a lot longer and it feels a lot worse in the anime because there are a lot of poorly drawn shots and the animation is really lacking in that arc. I feel like the animators themselves might have got kind of bored of animating it, I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there, you know. I'm not saying that they did get bored. It's either like bad direction, or they either just wanted to like animate something else because they've been animating it for so long already. Like it lasted 2 years in the anime and lasted 2 years in the manga, so that should give you like a context of they really only adapt one chapter every episode. So padding that out for time over 20 minutes, it does tend to show a lot. And it can be kind of like useless padding, as opposed to filler, which should like adds more context to something, which is what they're trying to do more of now, as opposed to like meaningless filler. I'm not talking about like filler arcs, I mean like including random characters. Like one of the fillers included like a random character that wasn't even in the manga. I don't know why. I guess I wanted to show this guy's power a lot more, but yeah, that's what I'm talking about, like useless filler. You see that a lot once you get past the halfway mark of One Piece. And I don't mean like episode wise, I mean like story wise, you'll know when the halfway point is. it's a clear indication of when, that happens. But even then, people complain about filler being in the anime, but in every anime there's always going to be filler. You can't adapt a manga one-to-one with it, because even then, an anime is supposed to flesh out something and give it like a bit more context to it, because you can't show everything that you want to show through paper. Like, anime is a much different medium that they can show a lot more of the source that they've been given, which, obviously leads to better animes. Because if you adapted something one for one, then you'd be left with like gaps in the story, which could have been adapted on a lot more. You could have been given a lot more context to it. But, it's something that you have to like learn to deal with filler in anime, because it's a normal thing. Some filler is done better than others. That's essentially what it boils down to. The last thing that I wanted to mention is how people believe that, One Piece has gone on for too long and it should have ended like 10 years ago or something like that. But once you get into it, you'll start to know why it's gone on for so long, and you'll start appreciating why it's so long and why people enjoy the length of One Piece once they get into it. Oda actually originally intended for it to end in like 5 years, but once you see the scope of the actual series, you realize why it's gone on for so long and why it still has like another 6 or 7 years left of it, in which 6 or 7 years isn't that long in terms of like One Piece that's gone on for like 22 years now. 6 or 7 years is not that long. But yes, it's starting to like wind down, it's gone to its final arcs now. It's eventually gonna end relatively soon in terms of, this long series that has been going on. But it really is a journey to go on if you, wanna catch up. That's essentially how it should be if you're trying to have your main character travel around the world with people. It should take long. It shouldn't be like 100 chapters or something like that. But yeah, it is a long journey, that's for sure. That's essentially all I wanted to say, and I hope that clears up things that you want to know about it, and hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully this makes you get into it. If it doesn't, then give it a try anyway, if you're not sure. A little thing that you could watch if you don't want to watch the whole 30 episode thing, you could watch an episode of East Blue, which summarizes the events that happen in the 30 episodes. Obviously it doesn't give you everything, so you need to cram everything into like 2 hours. It's obviously gonna skim over things, so even if you do end up watching this and you end up liking it, I'd definitely recommend going back and actually watching everything, because you get a lot more information there. But bye.
That's just how it goes now. That's just how we roll now. That's just how it goes now. That's just how we roll now. Lately I've been living my life. I've been losing my mind. I'll be gone in time. I'll be gone.